Okay, so I wanted to cover boss. There's a lot of ways that people are inefficiently farming boss. First off, if you join someone else's boss and they're hosting, you don't have a chance for the sword, it seems. I might be wrong about that, but every time you look at the guest rewards, it doesn't show the sword as a possible drop. Where if you go in with an actual ticket of your own and you select, normal, hard, extreme, you have some chance for the boss item. Now, the boss items aren't worth a ton. They're decent. Like it's 2 million for Statue's Demise. It is 825k for Warforged, and it is a million for a Cursed Spirit Blade. For context, this also has a Curse pose, which is a very good S grade mythic pose. So you can gamble this or assemble 60 of them, and then you would get a pose on the S graded version of this item. So if you're going for pure value, you would go for statue. If you can, let's assume you can complete all the bosses on the same difficulty. If you're able to do that, you would pick statue just because getting 2 million per mythic is much better. But if you can't complete statue extreme because statue extreme is somewhat difficult, I don't think most people that are newer to the game watching guide videos are going to be able to complete extreme. I would guess most of you would be able to do normal just fine with a team, and then hard if you have someone that can kind of carry. Extreme though, if you're trying to be really efficient with your tickets, you don't lose the ticket if you fail to defeat the boss. So if you want to be ticket efficient, which is basically what's the most I can get per ticket, then you would do extreme on statue. If you're trying to get the best value for your time, then you would probably do hard. Because hard you should be able to clear with the team or someone helping you. Normal isn't really worth running for normal tickets. I wouldn't recommend it just because the rates are so much worse. But for premium tickets, try to do hard and extreme because again, you don't lose it, so there's no risk. For normal tickets, I would say it very much depends on how good you are. Because if you fail an attempt on extreme, you're going to burn a ticket. So I think getting some level of rewards is better because it's easier to defeat this 3 times in a row than defeat this once even. So that's my suggestion to most people. But it's just very difficult to do extreme for a new player. It's very overtuned. It's balanced a lot more around the veterans that have been playing for well over a year. So going through the bosses, as far as curse goes, this is probably the easiest boss. Normal should be like child's play. You're not going to have any issues. Um, so normal, super easy. Hard's pretty easy. I believe hard for all of the bosses is the same as extreme, but they might cut off 1 or 2 phases at the end, and then you get to use abilities in hard mode. When you go into extreme, you only have 3 HP and you have no abilities. So you also have, I think, only 1 revive or something, maybe 2 revives, but it's a pain. You want people that really know what they're doing if you're going to play extreme. And if you don't have those people, then I wouldn't do it. I would do hard instead just for your sanity. Side note, a lot of people pay for carries, apparently. As far as the whole scene of people that, you know, try to do boss carries for a fee, just don't do that. Just play the game. Like, it's not worth paying the people because these items aren't worth enough to justify paying someone to carry you through it. I think a lot of people's rates were like 100,000 or 50,000 per kill. It's not worth doing it for the buyer, I'm saying. For statue, it's decent, but you only have a 1.5% chance to get the item. So you could easily not get the item. Like it's a 1.5, so it's a two. What is it? It's just a horrible rate. We'll just leave it at that. So if you could guarantee the item, then it would be better. Or if it was maybe a 10% drop and it still had this price somehow, it would be somewhat okay to pay for the fee. But paying 50,000 for 300 crystals, 40 shadow orbs, all these little potions, if you get lucky, and then the contract progress is not worth paying for. So don't ever go pay for fees in the Discord server. It's a waste. That whole channel shouldn't really exist. If people are willing to carry for free is like being nice, that's great. But you don't make enough to justify paying someone. It's not profitable to that level. So even for the premium tickets, I don't recommend paying for this. Don't pay anyone for this. All the people charging for it, I understand why they're charging for it, but the rate for them even isn't worth it because they should be trading if they're worried about progression. If you're going into boss, you should be focused on killing the boss and helping people. It shouldn't be about making gems because you can't really charge enough to where it's worth your time, and you can't, and your buyers can't make enough to where it's worth charging you. So that's my opinion as far as all that goes. But going into every boss, I would say for Cursed, I would recommend farming on Extreme. If you've played the game long enough, Extreme is basically the hunt boss. So really easy way to farm the instant dual wields. And if you have premium tickets, I would recommend doing Cursed over everything else. Let's see if I can. Okay, so they took all the things, but for Cursed, I would say do Extreme if you're able to. If you can't do hard mode for your premium tickets, for your statue tickets, I would say do the highest level that you can complete consistently. If you have a team that's willing to help you and you're very good at it, go for Extreme if you can. But if Extreme isn't consistently winning for you, do hard mode. It's not worth failing these, and it's better to just get your tickets done and used up because having them sit in your inventory isn't really worth it. For all the big traders, you're not coming in here to make money. They don't pay you enough to where it's worthwhile. If your trading inventory is under 5 or 10 million, then doing boss to profit is somewhat acceptable as a rate just because it gives you some starting value. But you need to be the host of the ticket and you need to have other people help you. You don't want to play on other people's tickets because me going in and, getting 130 gems and 20 shadow orbs, if I spend all day doing this, like, or even if I spend 24 hours just going on other people's tickets, all I'm going to do is get a bunch of little potions and then maybe, you know, 5,000 crystals by the end of the day, let's say, and then that's playing an insane amount for almost nothing because that won't give you an item. As far as the crystals go in this, you also want to convert them into shadow orbs and buy the cosmetic shop items. If it's like last season and cyber books end up being the best, then I would recommend buying whatever you want out of cosmetic shop or just spam buy up shadow books. Sell the shadow books for 500k to a mil each if possible, and you're pretty much set. So just focus on that way of profiting. It's not amazing, but if you're a starting trader, buying the books, if they sell decently, should be pretty good for you. And the advantage to the books is even if people stock them a lot, most people that want to buy the books are going to be willing to buy like 20 to 50 because they're going to want Night Veil. And Night Veil is insanely rare. So I think the Shadow book should perform pretty well. If you want to diversify, get the poses if you like them. If you have enough orbs, I would say grab at least one of each finisher and one of each explosion, just so you have it. If you want to get duplicates, it's up to you. But you might also be able to trade a couple shadow books for a finisher at a point after it's removed. So just keep in mind there's quite a few options, but the value route I would say is buying books fully. I have a bunch of books stocked myself. See if I can find them somewhere in here. Yeah, I have 118 of the book because I think it'll be worth at least a decent amount. If I sell them for 500k, that's a pretty good little bump. It's nothing crazy as far as being a big trader goes, but if you're willing to play a lot and farm crystals and you can buy up a bunch of the books, you'll make a good starting amount for trading. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, as far as the bosses go, also, I would not recommend you farm Villain Mech at all. Villain Mech Extreme Mode is horrible. Warforged Reaper is also not really worth that much. So you're better off farming Statue. I haven't really done Mech at all since update because there's not really any appeal to this. It's the cheapest and worst item. As far as the other ones go, Cursed has the Cursed pose on the Mythic, so the pose is really, really good. That S grade pose, I would say, is competitive with Last Oath and Laid Back, but it's much cheaper because it's infinitely farmable. So I would say if you don't like trading and you want to pose, that's how you get a pose, and it's very nice on all the swords, and it works really well on all the sides too. So highly recommend that. If you're a trader and you're going for pure value and you're able to defeat all of them relatively easily, I would say do Statue, just because it's worth a lot more than the other two. Yeah, that's it for today. So have a good one.